What's up, boys?
Let's pretend like we
Hello,
haven't been
hello.
talking for 30 minutes, bro.
Me, you, and Mike have. Nobody
Yeah.
else.
Yeah, no technical difficulties is what
It's all
happens.
good. It's all good. So yeah, this is essentially it's a podcast by a bunch of dudes who aren't rich car dudes, but are car dudes, right? That's the whole point.
Yep.
Regular
Absolutely.
guys building cars just like everybody else. Um, and why should you give a shit? So let's just what do you got to build? John, you have the obvious car in the frame.
Yep.
So let's start with
Right.
you, man. What's your name? What do you drive? What are you building? What are you doing?
All right, so I'm Jonathan, Porsche tech by trade. Have a 65 Mustang, as you can see in the background. Currently doing a full engine build, suspension swap on the front end right now. Gonna do a 332 stroker, all forged internals. Doing a full fuel injection system. Gonna swap out the body harness, upgrade that. It's just going to be a completely different build. Eventually, grand scheme for the car is going to be track. Would love to be able to take it to the track. And besides that, my daily is a 2019 STI. Got a couple mods done to that. So that's about it, man.
That's tight. So when you say you're gonna track it, are you planning? I don't know anything about your car, so this is actually interesting to me. Are you gonna drag it? Or are you trying to put it around
No,
corners?
no.
Yeah.
Oh, it's corners.
Fuck
no,
yeah.
no, no.
Okay,
Yeah, it's going to
nice.
be corners.
Nice,
So
nice,
this
nice.
is going to be my Canyon car.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. You don't see a lot of like 65 Mustang Canyon cars. Where'd you
So
have?
I'm doing a full K member swap in the front, and
Okay.
then I will drop Fox body style front suspension in with coilovers
Got
and
it.
steering and all that jazz. And then probably not next winter, I will do the 4-link in the rear and do
Okay.
coilovers as well. And then I've been in touch with Feel Suspension, and they're gonna help build a set of coilovers front and rear for my car.
So Feel, that's Odie Bakshis, right?
The one in
Yeah.
down Southern Cal.
Yeah. He
Yep.
doesn't he has
Yep.
he has a drift program, right? He drifts an S14, and I
Yep.
think one of his employees actually drifts a New Edge Mustang. And he
Yep.
has the custom. I think I follow that guy on Instagram. Actually, no, I think it's Eddie Drifts or something like that. But that's
So
tight,
they
dude.
don't have the actual shocks or suspension setup that actually I'm looking for.
Right.
So they're talking about actually specifically making it for my car.
That's fucking rad. That's super rad, dude. That's
So,
awesome.
I mean-
What suspension is that?
It's
Feel?
Yeah, I'll bring it up right now. Actually, I follow these dudes on Insta, so you can.
It's the suspension Ryan had in his car before. His 12 STI.
Who's looking it
so
up? Who's streaming right now?
I was trying to.
I was trying.
But yeah, so gonna drop that in there, and then gonna do a little line lock system, doing a power brake upgrade, full disc all the way around. Like I said, rack and pinion. Do a half cage so I can run a 4 or 5 point harness.
Oh, you're trying to do the
Dude.
whole damn thing.
Oh
So
yeah,
this, so this is Feel suspension right here. I don't know what you guys can see this. I don't know if we get content strikes or anything.
Good web setup.
Not that anybody's watching us right now. But yeah, so that's basically what this dude is doing. Like, yeah, so this dude is Odie
Yeah.
Bakshis and this guy right here on this highlighted photo, and then his homie or one of his. That's so weird. Is this dude right here? Does it pause the
Gotcha.
screen share on your guys' end when I do this?
No.
Nah.
You're
No.
good.
Okay, so it's only on my end. Very cool.
Mhm.
So yeah, he drives this teal Mustang right here.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. So he's got that, and then he's got this Termi that he built, and this is like a full on like he autocrosses this
Damn.
thing, canyons it and shit, and this thing's fucking pretty badass.
Dude, what the
Yeah, I mean the forged internals that I got and everything that I purchased,
Uh-huh.
it'll handle about 800 horsepower.
Oh no shit.
If I change some of the rods,
Uh-huh.
it'll be close to a 1200 horsepower handle. So my weak link at this point would be just the block.
And that's so that is that like a mod engine block, that 3.3? Is that a mod, or are you still running like an iron?
It's still a cast iron block.
Okay. I mean, put a lot of engine. You can put a lot of power through a cast block. That's tight. Is that
Yeah.
a car you've had in your family, or is that like something you picked
No,
up?
so I got the car when I was a sophomore in high school.
Okay.
Um, and then from that point forward, it went up the street, came back, and I tore it completely apart. Like, if it unbolted from the car, it came off.
Tight.
Replaced all of the front inner fenders, frame rails, welded it all back into place, bolted everything back up, rewired everything, whole nine. So basically spent like 2.5 years rebuilding it. Didn't even get to drive it through high school. It wasn't until I graduated that I got to drive it, and then dailied that thing for 9 years before I bought my white WRX from Mike.
Oh, that's right. Do you still have that thing?
Nope,
No,
sold
you
it.
sold that not too long ago, right? Okay,
Thing was
that's right.
sick.
Yeah, that thing.
I do miss that. I do miss that
That
car.
thing was tight.
We've
So-
all
I
had a
miss
bug
that.
eye.
I miss that car so
So-
bad. I should have bought
Dude,
that thing
so
back
bad.
from you.
So bad.
For everybody who might actually watch or listen to this, we have a confession that we have to make. 4 out of the 5 people in chat are now or have at one time been Subi Bros. So none of us vape. None of us, as far as I know.
Yeah, there's no vape over here.
Nope.
Quite
No.
a few poth eats in the chat, but yeah. But this will not be a Subaru focused podcast or content generation industry.
I take pride in breaking my Subarus.
We know, Tim, and we'll get to that. You will have a time to tell the.
We're gonna get there. We're gonna get there.
We're gonna
get there.
So-
We got a lot to talk about that.
Yeah, if you think that we were gonna skip by, the fact that you
Engines
can't-
require oil.
Oh.
Fun fact.
Ooh.
Pro tip. Got to put oil in that thing. Just saying.
What's oil?
What is this? And not canola oil, not hash oil, Timmy. You got to put.
You gotta put the motor
Five-
oil in it.
Generally, it's 5W30, and about 4.5 quarts is what you want to throw in that thing before
Dude,
you let.
Alex is just sprinkling the salt right on Cindy.
Oh, that was great.
He's just dumping the whole thing.
I'm sorry, man. Like he knows. He knows.
Hey man, you could at least be like the Asian chick little meme where she's walking out, opens a hood, and takes a whole bucket of oil and just pours
Oh,
on motor.
yeah.
You could have at least done that.
Could have.
But we'll get there.
Is this where the
We'll
oil
get
goes? Is this where it goes? All right.
Somewhere around there.
So I'm just gonna move through my screen because it's the only one I can see. So next to John is Mike. So Mike, what do you drive? What are you doing? What are your plans?
Currently drive 2015 Subaru STI. I guess you consider it stage 2.
Stage 2
Catless
adjacent.
downpipe to 3-inch all the way back. Magnaflow mufflers on it. KW suspension, full coilovers, white line, bigger sway bars and end links. Custom alignment on that thing. Short shifter. I think that's technically it.
Comp tune, right?
I
Like
don't think
basic.
it's basic stuff, you know. It's
Yeah.
getting there.
For a Subaru rally, you gotta have an access port.
Invested more in suspension, probably first and foremost, than power.
Right.
Currently in talks with M45 up in Auburn, California, to build a motor. Do forged internals, stock heads. Looking to do possibly 400 horsepower. Probably right off the get though, probably just do built bottom end. Go to E85. Be prepared for more power. Got to save dollars. And then probably go to a Cobb 20G. And then do the pair-in top mount. Get some more power out of it and get consistent 400. That's reliable. That's the goal. Is you guys know it. I drive the crap out of it.
Yep.
I'm not nice to it. When it gets taken out, it gets beat on.
Yeah.
So
keep up with some
there's
fast shit, man. So yeah, for sure.
yeah.
I don't want to interrupt you or anything, but like you and Johnny building motors and stuff, you guys are actually touching your motors. Like you guys are actually shooting for like what 400 to 500 horsepower. Like,
Yeah.
When you hear people building motors, everyone's just shooting towards the moon. It's like
Yeah.
I want 1,200 horsepower.
Realistic
Like, that's a
goals
moderate
for
amount.
myself.
Yeah.
Realistic goals, you know. Like,
Yeah, we're
attainable
not
goals.
those dudes, right? We're not like. So in case anybody watches,
Got a
and
budget.
doesn't- right, on a
Yeah,
budget,
like
we all live in
Budget.
we all live in Cali. Like rolling around in a 1,000 horsepower street car is not really a thing out here. I mean, there are people that do it, but there's a lot of heat. We're all skirting around smog laws and kind of avoiding where we can, so it's a little bit more delicate. And all of us, I mean, we roll canyons more than we do roll racing or street racing or anything like that. Like, we're not those dudes. So if you're looking for that kind of content, 1320 video is just a click away. You know what I mean? There's tons of channels that do that kind of stuff, and it's not our thing. So we were talking earlier this week, Mike, about your engine build and 400 horsepower. 400 horsepower in an STI is like, it's kind of like a golden number, right? There's a lot of guys who are trying to crack through that 400 barrier. Now, John, you have a 19 as well, right?
Yep.
So you're in the same boat that I am, where we can run 400 to 500 on a stock bottom end, and it's totally drivable, totally dailyable. You can go and beat the shit as long as you're paying attention to your fluid levels. That wasn't a dig on Timmy.
Oil.
That wasn't a dig on Timmy. That just is what it is.
Yeah, but right in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Hey, anybody listen, I promise you, this will make sense in a minute. I promise you.
We will get there.
We will get there.
There's a lot of buildup. But it's a totally doable number, and if you're not if you're not an STI guy, if you're not a Subaru guy, there was the Type RA, which was a game changer for the STIs because we benefited in 19, 20, and 21. That engine trickled down to the regular STI. We didn't get the cool carbon roof or any of that shit, but we got the better engine, which is what we were all really. If you've had an STI, like I had a 15
that car.
Yeah, I had a 15 STI as well. And it was, if you want more than 350 wheel, you got to redo the bottom end. So it's just the amount of money that you have to throw at those things to get that number. It's like it's not a hump a lot of people want to get over, right?
Well, and here's an example. So I went up to talk to M45, and so I was like, "What's your goal?" And I'm like, 400. I want to do 400, but I want reliability of 400. Yeah. He's like, "I get you 400 all day." Prints me out a quote. It's shit. I got it sitting right here. Cobb 20G, Cobb 20G, a Cobb turbo inlet, a Cobb E85 system, Grimsby top mount, the TG delete, and then a tune essentially, and that's 400 horsepower on a stock bottom end. Now they're like,
sketchy on a 15.
and I was like, okay, cool, but I mean, to do that, I mean, you can talk numbers. That's $6,500.
Right.
That's $6,500 to do that, and that's not reliable. That's not something that they're like, yeah, if you take care of it and you're easy on it. I'm like, I already know myself.
What's the point of having 400?
Right.
Just gonna say that. Like, I'm gonna want to go out like, and I'm gonna it'll make it, but don't put your foot in it. Like what? Yeah, no. Like
So I mean, so I was him and Hom back and forth, and I'm like, and they gave me another quote to do that work plus build the bottom end, and shit, it's $15,000. I'm like, I'll have that kind of money. Hell no, not right now.
Right.
So my thought is build bottom end first. Be prepared for when I have more cash to install the 20G.
Yeah.
Get all the upgrades. That way, when it's time to do more power and I can afford to, it's there.
That's
don't.
Yeah. That's smart. That's
build it.
Smart.
Build it first. Don't buy all the expensive shit and then blow it up, and I got to rebuild everything.
Yeah.
That's
because if you put a hole through your block, that's a whole other problem. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Yeah. No, that's.
And then the car's down. I can't drive it. Like right now, the car's drivable. It's fine. I can. It's good. So a couple more months and we'll start a build.
Yeah. No, I think that's like a huge issue in modifying cars in general is that everybody wants the dyno sheet, right? Everybody wants the number. Yeah. Everybody wants to say they make 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1,000 horsepower with, Wu-Tang war whistles off of eBay and all that stuff, right? It's like, hit the number, bro, whatever. And then the rods go south of the border, and it is what it is, you know what I mean? And I think that's,
And I think for me, like the whole passion is, I think it's kind of like, John and I we work together, Chris. So we all pretty much work together. I mean, the passion of like Porsche, right? You want a fast car, go buy a Z71 Camaro or whatever you want to go buy Hellcat, go. That's a straight line car. I want to go fast around a racetrack. I don't want to just do straight line stuff. I want to build the car so it's balanced and equal. Yeah, I can put 700 horsepower in the stupid thing, but that's not going to get me around a racetrack. That's going to put me in a wall somewhere that I can't control.
Sure.
Like the faster the straight line is so cliche now.
Right. Like
Yep.
anybody can do it. You got a Honda running 1,000 horsepower out of a four banger. Like,
Listen,
I mean,
yeah.
that's a reality.
Dude, everybody sleeps on Hondas in the quarter. Those fucking things. Those fucking things.
Dude, with the limited slip in them,
Yeah.
dude, I've driven little Integras in corners with limited slips in them. Dude, those things rail.
Yeah, I mean,
They're just so underpowered.
when you go to, so they do like oval track roll racing and stuff like that, and they obviously do like a half mile and airstrip and stuff. And the funniest thing you'll notice is that all the the vet guys and all those dudes, they're worried about the Integra. They're worried about the stripped out EG hatch with the Turbo K series. It's like that car weighs 1,800 pounds and has 700 horsepower. Like that thing is fucking gonna fuck.
Oh,
you know
it's coming for them quick.
Yeah, exactly. So, imports still, unless it's a Supra or a Skyline or something with an LS swap, imports still get slept on. And
very true.
I think.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I think there's that dude with the blue 19 STI, 1,100 wheel horsepower, right? Just ran an 8, fully dressed with AC, running 8s.
What?
We put it in the chat. Yeah,
Yeah.
mind you, he's got a
$15,000
$15,000 short block in it. Like, he threw a ton of money at it. He runs on the strip with no headlights, like, because the turbo eats right behind the headlight.
Yeah.
So like
that shit is sick.
Yeah, so he pulls the passenger side headlight out when he rolls on the strip, because like that's where his turbo feeds in. But at the same time, like that's not attainable for most people. Like I don't have 15 grand to throw on a short block, plus another.
Well, yeah, and that's
block.
just a short block. I mean, he's got to have what, 50 grand in a motor, 60 grand.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, he's got he's got
at
a
least.
$3,000 turbo. He's got a Process West billet manifold. Like he got the whole fucking thing. So he's running slicks with beefy axles and all this and Cusco LSDs. So he's got $6 grand in fucking LSDs in that thing. Whatever, right? It can be done, but it's not really like what any of us are really interested in. It's not really what we're trying to do. So Mike's trying to build a 400 horsepower STI. You got your suspension done. There's 2 of us running KWs. The rest of us are slumming it.
Hey, but I got blessed with coilovers. I got the bro hookup years ago.
Yeah.
So
No, KWs are tight. Speaking of which, we've got 2 Subarus and a Mustang in a row. Chris, you've got the only currently running V8 in the group right now.
Yeah, I'm surrounded by
enough.
Subaru,
That's
bro.
fair enough.
And I'm
Fair enough.
Wafting around in a cloud of bro smoke. So please explain to me what it is you drive.
I have a 2017 Camaro SS. Thing is mostly stock.
Mostly stock.
Suspension-wise, running running KWV3 suspension. Sitting on some Ricks and Ford's wheels, 20 by 9.5 and 20 by 11 in the rear.
Are you running 11s in the rear?
I'm trying to go for the wide boy, like grippy boy style. Like
I'm with it.
so it's the 285 front and 305 rear. I try to get as close as square as I could, but I think that's what the 1LEs start to run in my
I think you're right. So I'm gonna put this up, just not to interrupt Chris, but I'm gonna put this up so everybody can see. If I'm gonna like hit on one dude's stance in the group, Chris's Mero sits real fucking clean. Like that thing has one of the nicest stances of any car I've seen in a hot minute. So go on. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh,
It's
thank you.
sexy.
After that, it's pretty much a Borla catback exhaust. That's about it. I wanted touch motor next, but I'm kind of worried.
Well,
It's like
we've had
Yeah,
talks
well,
about
I mean-
this, right? Like you've thrown a couple of different ideas out there, right? You've talked about putting a blower on it. You talked about going Cami 85, that kind of shit. So, and we had the last time we all went drinking, we had a kind of back and forth. Like realistically, what is the long-term goal? Are you trying to keep it a Canyon Carver? Are you trying to, mind you, Chris keeps up with Timmy's S4 in his Mero, and Timmy is a fucking maniac. So like that's saying something.
Timmy can put the pedal down. I can lie about it.
Yeah,
Put the
Timmy
pedal
is
down.
not afraid of a heavy right foot. So like,
No, especially in corners.
right. And he's got the benefit of an incredibly advanced all-wheel drive system and an incredibly advanced traction control system, whereas Kid has a dumb American car. So
Big old dumb one.
big old dumb American car.
Big old dumb heavy butt end.
Right. So real talk. Like, what is the long-term goal for the Mero?
Long-term goal. I think honestly, being in California, I think I want to go all motor.
Okay.
It's just
Okay.
going like it's like the whole rabbit hole of what you need a built bottom end. You need to have like forged rods, pistons, and shit. I mean, realistically, I feel like if you have a strong motor, you can pretty much handle anything you want to throw at it. That thing, like,
No, I agree.
I mean,
I agree.
Yeah.
It's
Build it first.
it's like the foundation for.
yeah. I mean, again, we're all behind the ball here, right? Like we're all behind the ball. Just being in California, like you could do a Whipple, right? You could slap a Whipple on it. Here's the thing, people don't. If you're new into muscle cars, it's really easy if you have a deep pocket to say I can go buy a Whipple or an Edelbrock or a Pro Charger, and they're carb legal, and I slap it on and I update the tune that ships with the car. And yeah, you do. You make 700 horsepower, and it's legal. They run like shit, and like
They do.
most people don't know that the part throttle is terrible. The on-off throttle is fucking horseshit. They lag, they lug, they don't sound good. They're not happy. And if you go and get that fixed, now your car is illegal again. So it's not quite as, yeah. If you get pulled over and a cop pops your hood and they see the sticker, whatever, you're golden. Sorry, Mike. You had something to say?
So when you're done, guy doesn't know muscle cars for shit.
Mm-hmm.
How do you fix that problem though?
Move to Nevada.
Florida, Nevada, a free country or a free state.
Yeah. Own a house in Florida or Montana. Yeah, that's easy. That's the easiest way.
I have figured that out, by the way. We'll have a conversation about
I don't
that.
think we're legally allowed to talk about this on podcasts, so we're gonna.
Yeah, we'll have that in the chat conversation. I have figured out a legit way to do that, though. By the way.
No, I feel like this is when are we gonna get swatted by a carb? Here, like in this, the first guys ever to get swatted by a carb.
Right. Be a podcast.
And
I never read on anyone.
I never knocked out nobody. You just bought some other shit for your car, though, right? Some aesthetic shit. Like you just bought a splitter.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah, got a splitter coming and a wing.
And a wing coming and the wicker. So it's gonna have the look. So now it's just the power.
This is
Kid,
power.
if you're building your motor, would you have like a goal, or are you kind of like, I'll call you the typical muscle guy, but shooting for the moon for whatever you get, or do you have like an ultimate goal of like what kind of power are you trying to get out of that thing?
Originally, talking to you guys, basically when we went out for beers, basically talking to you guys, and the way my car is now, it's like I have like the perfect power to weight ratio in a sense. Like I'd be able to mash it like mid apex through a corner and not break traction as much as I could if I
Can
built
confirm after driving the Mero for the record. Anyway, go ahead.
Oh yeah, Alex drove it. Yeah.
That bitch feels good, dude. Like that thing feels. Anyway, I don't want to interrupt, but that thing feels real nice. That car feels real nice.
So it's just like it's being a car guy, it's like you change one thing, it snowballs over to the next thing, right? So it's like if I do build a car to have 600 horsepower, 650 horsepower, it's like fuck, what would I have to do to make sure I put that power down, be able to keep up like I was keeping up before?
True.
Like I would lose traction so hard.
I mean, yeah. I mean that's very true. I mean,
Throttle control.
Throttle
Right?
control. I mean, at that point, that's all you could do at that point for that kind of power. Try to put it down at a consistent pace, like we always go for canyon runs. Like it'd be a questionable at that point.
Sure, it's like the whole argument of when the BR, or it was like when the Subaru BRZ first came out, everyone was like kind of hating on it because it was like, oh, dude, you have like a 200 horsepower, or no, 150 horsepower car, or something like that?
No, they're 200. They're 200.
Oh, it's 205.
Yeah,
Okay.
200.
So
But
you have a 205 horsepower car. Yeah, it weighs it weighs nothing. But like if you throw that thing in like a canyon where it's like you have pretty much like full of like decreasing radiuses and like full on like chicanes everywhere.
What the
It's
car was
like
built
that thing.
for.
Exactly.
Eats.
That thing will
That thing
be
fucking
handled.
eats, dude. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
I missed the horsepower number because my son was asking me about a Wii controller. But what's the overall goal? What's the number? If you had a number.
If I had a number, it'd be probably 6. I want to sit right at 6.
So, and for me, John, and Mike, that seems like a fuckload of power, right?
Right.
That sounds like a fuckload of power. But like, you look at that chassis and you look at like a ZL11LE,
Mhm.
which is pound for pound, dollar for dollar, the best performance car you can buy for 70 grand. Like, I don't give a fuck what anybody says. Like, that is, you can't see out of it. The interior is not super refined, right? It's not as nice as a GT350.
Bro, we
It's
all
not.
know it's an American-made car.
Yeah,
we
right.
we accept that.
Right,
We accept
but
it when we buy
if
the
you're
piece of
just
shit.
like, if you're like, I want to go to Buttonwillow and smoke a 458, like, I can do it for less than a third of the cost. Rolling a ZL11. So, like, the chassis can take it. The chassis itself can handle it. You've got good suspension on it. And if you want to do 600 NA, you're essentially going to have like a really high revving V8, which one would sound sick as fuck.
Right. Right.
And two is just not. There's not a lot of guys building Maros with 600 horsepower NA with the intent to run canyons versus do 8th mile, right? Like a lot of those guys with the sub 700, they're running 8th mile drags or
that'd be Hoosiers, small tires,
Right.
front, big tire in the back. Like drag
Yeah,
car.
exactly. And you're talking about like, no, I want a canyon car, and I think that would be cool. I think that's cool. I think that's something different. You don't you're just now, I don't know how many of you guys follow drifting or anything like that, but like the 5th gen Maros, there was a couple of guys that tried to run them in professional drifting back in the day. Suspension technology hadn't quite caught up with the sport the way it has now, with angle kits and all that stuff, and running 60 to 70 degrees of front angle and all that to really get, a big stupid American chassis around a corner, sideways as shit, looking cool but easy to control, the way they are now. But like the 5th gen Maro is like an up and coming drift chassis, right? Because there's only so many S13s, S14s out there, and they've all been put in walls, right? So now dudes are going vets. We're
gonna be honest on this channel. We're gonna.
I had two, and they both had quarter panel damage. Like, I know how this works.
Fact, bro.
Right, these are the facts. So they're not making S14s or S13s anymore, right? Vets are getting more attainable, but the problem that you're gonna have is that now people have picked up on how good a vet is as a drift car with very little money, while they're still 25 grand. So they're just gonna go up, right? The idea of like, the cheapest C5 Z06 I could find, which isn't even the LS7, is 14 grand. The cheapest C6 Z06 I could find was $26,000. That's in the country. So, and that thing was clapped the fuck out. Like, it was not a nice car. You know what I mean?
It's weird. It's like
26.
Don't want to interrupt you. It's
Dude,
like, me and Johnny were having this conversation, and we were talking about like Fox bodies, like old Fox bodies. Those are having like a huge resurgence nowadays. Like, it's like American cars are coming back up for some reason. Like, I'm just not sure. Like,
because people like drifting, and Japan stopped making rear-wheel drive cars 30 years ago.
Oh shit.
Think about it realistically. The last rear-wheel drive Japanese car is a Supra, and a Mark IV Supra. Name me another. Right? Because those went up to 96, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the last S14 we got was 95.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now they made them in Japan. You have the Chasers, you have the S15, you have all that stuff. We never got any of that shit. So yeah, granted you can import it, but Mike already knows what it's like trying to import a Japanese car. If you want it in California, there's a $10,000 road tax just to be able to tag the thing. And if you're a kid that wants to build a car purely for the purpose of eventually putting it in a wall, like dropping 18 G's to import something that you can't drive on the street, so you need to have a tow set up, like, it's just not feasible, right? Like, it doesn't make any sense. So what do? You buy a Fox body, right? Or you buy a New Edge, or you buy like a Gen 4 Maro, or you buy a Gen 3 Maro and just go get a junk. Dude, how, like, even 350Zs are coming up. Like, I just, like, the cheapest I can find it, dude. Okay, I sent you guys that photo of that 300ZX, right? The wide body 300,
Yes.
which was
Yep.
clean. Dude, I went and looked for just a decent twin turbo 300ZX. Not a 2+2, just a 2, right? Cheapest one I found was 22 grand.
What?
This is a car that nobody
It's not
cared about
surprising.
5 years ago. Nobody cared.
Yeah.
You couldn't give away a 300ZX twin turbo 5 years ago, and now they're 22.
You
grand.
could have given it away to me. I bought my first WRX.
Okay,
Why,
wait,
so you
wait,
can
hold
blow
on,
the
hold on.
engine? Get out of here. So,
Hold on. Before we get off track, Tim has got to introduce himself. So Tim's got to do it real quick.
yeah, okay.
That way,
Let's, yeah,
this all, that
Oh,
way it's
yeah,
all
yeah,
yeah,
makes
let's
yeah,
go. Okay,
it
so
all makes sense.
Timmy, we've made fun of you for the last 30 minutes. Please introduce
I'm
yourself.
Timmy. I enjoy breaking cars. I've broken the motor in my 2011 World Rally Blue Subaru WRX twice. And it's got a full STI drivetrain swap minus the differential controller, but it died on me last week. There wasn't oil. We can just leave it at that for now.
We're just gonna leave
And
it at
then I
that.
also have a brand new 2019 S4 that I thought was the best car we could all get until Chris made me shit my pants last week in the canyons. So when he came around Mike and he just like came up on me, I didn't know what to do.
that marrow eats, bro. But I mean, to be fair,
I mean, that thing's got so much power.
but Chris is working a lot harder than you are.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
yeah. Like you're point and shoot.
I mean, that all-wheel drive is so perfect. You don't really have to do anything.
yeah,
You
and
Dude,
just
you're like
go.
sipping tea, like while cruising through corners and shit.
yeah. I mean, that's
Yeah.
and
Alexa
that's
making you a sandwich.
luxury power is a whole different level than like American muscle, Japanese power.
Raw power.
Yeah,
Yes.
for sure. Like I think the only thing that would compare to what you're doing would be Skyline or something along those lines. Right? Whereas the car does a majority of the work and kind of
Yes.
unfucks itself and keeps you from killing yourself. Whereas
Yes.
the rest of us plebs are working hard not to kill ourselves, right? So I mean, you didn't make the bad choice, and you probably have a higher power ceiling for less money
yeah.
than the rest of us combined, right? Like,
Oh yeah.
like Tune, Corn, and you're smoking a lot of shit.
Yeah, the goal is I know I showed you all that the Miltech S4 like a
Right.
year ago that has it's Miltech everything, Miltech downpipes, exhaust, and it's just got a tune on it and it makes like 750 horsepower and was doing like 9.5 second quarter
So
miles.
stupid, bro.
What?
And it's just
Bro,
like
What?
You don't need
handle
that.
for the canyon.
You
I don't
need
want
that.
I
I
don't
know
want
how
that.
you drive, bro.
No,
You don't
I
need that
want
shit.
420.
Oh my God, it's so
420 is a
stupid.
great number.
So-
That's the
just
number I want.
Just so everyone
So
knows, like who
stupid.
are listening to this podcast, Timmy drives by swinging his balls around the corner.
Timmy, do you have that video of you
Go.
swinging the WRX on your?
Can you pull?
Are
You
you
can pull it up in the Instagram.
Yeah.
Hey, quick side note. You were talking about Japanese imports, and I had to show you all this because I stumbled upon this today
Bring it up.
on Top Rank.
Oh, here we go. Mike's back in the hit for Mike's
No.
back in the hunt for
I'm
R32,
just
bro.
I'm just like this shit is
It's like
like
one of these. Bring it up, big boy. Let me see.
uh,
Oh, Mike. When you hit stream, grab the right window because you grab Discord. It'll give you the option to pull different windows. Make sure it's up. Yeah.
Oh, dude, that is sick.
Oh,
see how much
shit.
it is.
30 grand?
75.
75.
Oh, I didn't wait. I can't see it. Oh, that's
Miles.
miles. That's miles. I'm wrong.
Holy
74, Right here.
crap! Here, Alex, I just sent you the video on your Instagram messaging. If you can
Okay,
share that.
I should be able to bring it up from there.
Wait,
I mean,
so
it's sexy.
It looks
What did
amazing,
Bro.
what did the 1993 Supra come with stock horsepower? Like, is it worth
Wasn't it
74
like
grand?
270?
So no. Okay, well here wait up. Here's the thing. Here's the thing about Japanese cars of that era that unless you're like a big, what's up, dog? Unless you're like a big
320.
JDM, no, that's what they say.
Well,
There
it
was
says 220 to 320. That's what it
there
says.
was
That's a big jump.
there was a gentleman's agreement in Japan where they would rate everything that they made at 286 horsepower to the wheel, I believe. So, like, we're talking R34s. Everybody knows an R34 makes a lot more than 286 horsepower, right? But that's what they would say. And even with American cars, they did it back in the day. If you go back and look at a Cobra Jet, like a Ford Mustang Cobra Jet, they said, oh, it makes 400 horsepower. You put that bitch on the dyno, it's putting out 525. Like, they underrated them on purpose. It was just a thing that they did. So it probably makes about 350, real talk.
Oh,
but the
shit.
ceiling on that car with very little work is like
It's like bolt-ons.
Yeah, like a 2J.
Yeah.
Dude, it's it's forged internals in a cast iron block. Like that thing, you can put 750 to 900 horsepower through it without touching anything below the head.
Reliably. Wow. Yeah.
Like no problems whatsoever. And
Yeah.
the thing only has 47,000 miles on it. It's barely, he broke it in.
Yeah,
for you,
it's got 30K on it. 47.
Oh, 47,000 kilometers. Yeah, so
yeah. But yeah, it's the thing is immaculate.
I mean, but is it
Yeah,
worth
I
that
was about to blown away by the
$1,700?
price, bro. Fucking 75 grand?
Dude, one just sold a clean Quicksilver, right, which was a twin turbo T-top whole thing.
Mhm.
I think the last one sold at Barrett Jackson for like 225. We didn't. So you got to remember, we didn't get that many twin turbos.
Damn.
We didn't get that many twin turbos in the States. Quicksilver specifically, we got even fewer of them. I think there was only like 2,500 of them. Period.
I'm not surprised.
So
We don't ever get.
he got a beer. Look at him.
What?
Beer. Thank you, Lauren.
Wow.
Here's my friend.
You don't deserve your fiance, that's for sure. Not that any of us deserve our old ladies, like, to be fair. Like, none of us do. But, yeah, so, I mean, is it 75 grand? Yeah, it's 75
And
grand.
are you getting shots too? Oh,
I'm not doing
Wow.
that. This has had
I'm not doing
vodka
that.
in it for the last 40 minutes. So, I mean, it's 75 G's, bro, but, like,
the
So would this be
platform that
where-
you could
Oh.
build
Yeah.
would be amazing. Like,
And it's a forever car.
that is
Right.
a forever car.
It's just like, but you like 4 years ago, you could have bought that car for 35.
30 grand.
Right.
Dude,
Yeah.
I remember being 24, living in my mom's house, kid looking at you, and thinking about I'm kidding. Thinking about, like, damn, I really wanted a Supra. Because, like, if you grew up in our generation, you grew up watching Fast and the Furious, right? That was probably
Absolutely.
your first foray into JDM cars, right? And from there, it probably went to option videos and all that other shit, right? But looking at Supras and a twin turbo Supra, a nice one, was like 32 G's, which as a 24-year-old kid making $20 an hour, like, that's not attainable. You know what I mean? Like, you can't
Right.
afford it, right? But now that same car is $75,000, 80,
Right.
90, $100,000, completely fucking unobtainable. So it's like, this is my thought process. This isn't your daily, right? Like, you're not gonna daily your Supra. So does it? When we have, like, so we have homies like John, who are super capable techs, and know what they're doing. We have resources. We have a group of people that know a lot about cars. We have access to parts. We have access to this and that. Does it make sense to spend 75 grand on a Supra because it's right-hand drive, which is cool, don't get me wrong, or do you just buy the gnarliest clapped out NA Supra you can find as long as the body's straight and just strip it and build it from the ground up? Because
I
I
would do
guarantee
that. We don't
because-
have the money to get a $75,000
Well,
Supra.
right. Well, it's like, do you want
Well-
to carry? Well, here's the thing: do you want to carry a $1,700 payment for a stock Supra?
Right.
Nah.
Right. When
I mean,
that's like really what it boils down to. It's like, is
But I
that
mean, and I have this conversation with customers all the time at work. Is like when I was talking about buying that I was trying to buy a Skyline R32.
so? If nobody knows, Mike was trying to buy Elvis from Stance Nation, who has a white R32 arguably one of the cleanest R32s in the country. Super well kept. If you know anything about Elvis, like his
Stance
Love
Nation
you.
is he's
His builds are
his
pretty.
shit
He
is
was
clean, dude.
legit,
He
like-
keeps his stuff. He's got the nicest. If you want a nice JDM car, you buy that man's car when he decides to sell it because he gets bored super quick, right? He was the
Sure.
only man who was turning down $30,000 offers on S13s in the country for almost
Like-
suck S13s. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy. But
Let me pull it. I'll show you. I mean, like legitimately,
the
the
car was
man bought the
beautiful.
car in Japan, had it stripped in Japan,
Right.
had the car repainted in Japan,
Okay.
the same color white and everything like that. Brought it to the States, imported it, stripped the suspension, stripped everything out of it, went through the entire
Because
motor.
it had all 326 stuff on it, right?
Yeah. All 326 suspension, upper lower control arms, any adjustable links you could think of, the car had, and the
Right.
thing was just beyond dialed. And like you start looking at like, I know what he paid for the car.
Yeah.
And then you start looking at what he put into the car and what he was asking for the car.
Worth every penny, dude.
He wasn't making really any money.
I
on
mean,
the
we
car.
talked about it. I remember you texted. You
like,
messaged me on the side, like, is it worth trying to get a discount?
He's maybe making $2-3 grand, maybe
For
on
his
a good
time.
day.
Yeah.
For his time.
Dude, he
And
wanted
that was really
48
his time.
for it. That's not
Yeah,
even
he wanted
bad.
48. I know what he spent on it, and what he added to it. He had I think it was 42 that he bought it for. Painted it, all the suspension, wheels and tires.
It's
go through the
$6,000
motor.
in wheels and tires on it.
Yeah, I mean, granted,
Yeah, Chris.
he is the founder of
Fuck.
Stance Nation. I'm sure he's got connections.
man.
I love you.
I'm sure he didn't pay retail for any of that crap. But still,
No,
I mean,
he's got hookups through 326.
But
He's got
that-
hookups through Volk.
it
He's
doesn't
got- yeah,
matter.
yeah.
I mean, it don't matter that he wasn't making a grip of money on
But
that
yeah,
car.
exactly. Well, here's the thing too: is like as a regular dude like us, like it doesn't matter what he paid for that shit. Like
Yeah.
we wouldn't be able to buy that wheel and tire setup for less than $6 grand. That's all that matters, right? It doesn't matter if you got it for 4. Like
Right.
you couldn't buy you couldn't go to Top Rank. And here's the thing: if you live in, and I know that his shit wasn't legal, right? But whatever. If you went to Top Rank and bought a $34,000 Skyline R32, and then wanted it to be what he had, even if you had a spot to register it where it was legal, you would not get out for less than the 48 grand he paid for it, and it still
So-
wouldn't be as nice as the one that he had.
If you look at this is how he bought it.
That is
Oh,
so
he bought it
sick.
from okay.
Ooh.
Even then, it was
So,
clean, dude. Look at that,
this
bro.
is
No
how this
cracks
car
in the
looked
dash.
when he got it.
Did he buy it through Japanese LLC?
Yes, that's who
Those-
he gets all his JDM cars through.
It's those dudes in Top Rank are like the two main importers
Yeah.
in the country that you can trust. Like
And then this
that for
is
the
what it
record.
ended up- this is what it ended up looking like.
And for everybody who's watching in the background, you can see his S13, which is a relatively bone stock SR20 S13 with a nice stance, and he was turning down offers for $30,000.
Yeah,
So
and I mean, if you go down to, I mean, here's all his wheels and tires. I mean, look at the background. Look at all those works.
Yeah.
All the
I mean,
rims and tires
Elvis is-
back there.
Elvis has been in the game for so. And okay, wait, stop here. First of all, wait up, stop here. The red S13. This is
That is sick.
the cleanest S13 I have ever seen in my life. This thing gives
Look
me
how wet that paint looks.
dude. This thing gives me a giant.
Dude, anytime I need paint on my car, I know where I'm going.
Yeah.
Like Diamond Auto Body.
Oh, they kill
Oh,
it.
yeah.
We're fortunate enough to
Dude.
be local to them, right? Like they're
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
super clean. But there's a lot of if you're not like a big S13 head, there's a lot of subtle things about this car that will not go noticed. The molded flares, but here's the thing: if you click this one, yeah, perfect. So there is a molding that runs down the side of S13s, right? There's like that little accent line right above it's right above the rocker panel, and it runs all the way through the front. And he had that completely shaved and filled, and with the intent to make the S13 look like a more modern chassis. And I think, and he kind of applied this same. I don't know if you guys ever seen his old LS430 or LS400 that he had. He did the same kind of thing on that. And the way this guy thinks about cars, the way he approaches vehicles, the way he approaches modifying his cars, is I think what a lot of us who are into really clean shit aspire to, in the sense
Right.
that It doesn't need to be super over the top, right? It doesn't need a Pandem wide body kit. It doesn't need wings and canards and all this shit. It's like if you make it super fucking clean, people will gravitate to it. They will like it,
Right.
and it will stand out. Like sometimes less in the sense of less obvious and more thought is more in the sense of what the overall impact of the car is. And when Mike messaged me on the side and was like, yo, is it worth even trying to hit this dude to come down on price? It's like you really just have to decide if this is a car you want or not, because you know this thing is proper, and you'll probably never have a bit. Oh, and now we know what Mike looks like on Instagram.
Perfect.
But you'll never have an opportunity to buy a car like that again, right?
No,
Like,
and I missed it by 5 minutes. I legitimately missed it by 5 minutes, and it got to a point where the other guy was having a hard time getting approved for a loan and because he's trying to finance all 48 grand. And
it's a lot of money.
Elvis is like, dude, like he's got literally 12 hours. If not, it's yours. And within that 12 hours, the dude got funded, got the bank to inspect the car, got funding. So it is what it is. I wasn't really, before that. I was not going to build a Subaru. Now that I missed out on that car, because I was going to look at that car as an investment.
Yeah.
Now
for sure. Yeah.
build a
I
Subaru
mean,
now.
you could. I mean, and that's a smart way to look at that, because like you could have bought that car for 48 and in 24 months turn it around for 60. Right.
Yep.
If you didn't put another dime into it, you could have sold it for 60 in 18 months to 2 years, because those things are just going to go up in value.
And I agree with you, because Johnny and I were actually having a conversation with our other friend Ryan at work, and my theory on that is you literally look at the imports that are coming now, right? R34s are going to be the hottest thing you can possibly find. You thought Supras were going to be expensive.
Yeah,
R34s are going to be expensive as all hell. They're going to start at already at 100 grand, damn near. So
for a base GTR.
For a base,
that's
for a base GTR,
not an R-Tech or a Nismo.
They only made. I found this out the other day. They only made like 10 or 12,000 of those cars. So the hunt is on for those cars.
So
worldwide,
Japan, Australia, and New Zealand, and Europe didn't get a big allocation, right? Whatever, but
correct.
We got none of them.
So, and I'm not a biggest fan of R33. I understand the car, I understand the platform. I think this is an amazing vehicle. If I had to pick, it's ugly duckling.
Yeah.
R32 is where
it's like the redheaded
value.
stepchild of fucking Skylines, dude. Like, it is what it is.
But the R32 is going to all of a sudden jump in value. I mean, and you look at our Porsche world, right? So the biggest thing in the past 10, 15, 20 years at Porsche was air-cooled cars. Air-cooled cars, there's only a limited production now of air-cooled cars. There is no production. What is produced. So value goes up every single day.
All that shit, yeah.
964s, not 944s, but 993s, the 70s, the 60s. I mean, those vintages are.
Go back to what we were talking about when we were talking about Mark IV Supras. Like, nobody cared about those things 15 years ago.
Correct.
You could steal a 964. You could get one for 15 grand. Now they're going for 70, 80, 90, $100,000 because you can't get your hands on one anymore. And you have guys like, Vinny from Hoonigan's building one. You have all the Rotiform dudes that build one. You had RWB who really got into it. I think the big thing that fucked it is when Singer started building air-cooled, super high-end air-cooled Porsches, right? Redoing the interiors to this great, right, $400,000 or $500,000 cars. And now even 356s, shitty 356s, which when I was a kid, you could still pick one of those up cheap because they were glorified Volkswagens. Now that Rod Emery is making outlaws out of them, right?
It's right. Yeah.
125 grand for a roller.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's a thing. It's like, if you're ahead of the game, if you know what's going on and you know what a car is worth and you can understand what it looks like or what it will be, you gotta hop on it, make it happen. Figure out a way to put the cash together and grab it, sit on it, throw it in a garage, whatever, because it is an investment. Those older cars are just going to be so difficult. I'm going to hit the head. You guys talk much stuff.
Oh my gosh.
I actually have to do the same thing, so.
No worries.
Yeah.
Yep. Be right back.
Dude, that's so clean.
I love that.
Singers are if Porsche had like steroids and like
Dude,
attention to detail, and they
that
had
interior is sick.
Yeah.
bro. Look at the seats.
Essentially, what they did is modernized the 911. It's like
I love it.
Absolutely. And then I mean, you look at the craftsmanship and just every detail is just it's perfect. I mean, but that's why that car is $300,000-$400,000. That's all hand built, handcrafted stuff. Like, there's no
So,
denying that they're beautiful, but they're expensive.
the thing is like with the whole Porsche community, like everyone who's Porsche is like a Porsche purist, right? They want the original parts on the 911
No,
that you could get like 30 years ago, right?
Yeah.
So is this like, would this be like a taboo in a sense?
I mean,
I think to some absolute diehard purists, yes.
yes.
I think though overall the Porsche community, I think these cars are beyond respected.
Because they keep it in that luxury performance standpoint. They don't
Correct.
change what the car is for. It is still.
But you
a
look at that
luxury
car, you
road
look at
car.
the screen, and that car looks like a 911.
Yeah.
It looks like
Oh,
a very customized 911 that
Is this
Right.
Singer
someone
stuff?
ordered, right? And yeah, purists will come in and say, yeah, it's not every nut and bolt and that kind of stuff, but everybody can
Mhm.
respect that car. Who can hate that car? Look at that.
That is
That
beautiful.
car is-
I love
Singer
that.
Singer is amazing. So we super got distracted from things about me, and so if you can close your stream out so you can end stream real quick. I just want to show everybody when we say that Timmy is a savage. I want them to see what he's talking about. So you should have an end right where you hit share your screen, Mike. You should have a end your screen, end your stream.
I did.
Oh, why is it still there? Okay, there it goes. That's my bad. So let's just it's fucking Tim. This is what we know. This is what we all know Timmy for is fucking shit like this. So this is a year of
This is by the way, this is before he blew it up.
This is before we blew it up. You can imagine how he
is
blew
a
it up.
nut.
Something like this. Yeah, I don't know how you ever blew up your Subaru like that, dude. I don't know how
No. I don't know.
Beyond me.
Yeah, no idea how I started drinking oil, Tim. No
There's
idea.
this thing called oil that nobody told me it belonged
Yeah,
in
right.
the car.
So, and we got super distracted.
I was
with-
using vape juice.
Oh man, you running vape juice instead of oil? That's a rookie
Jeez, bro.
mistake. So the situation with the S4. Let's talk about that for a second. So you leased the S4.
I leased the S4 because it was smart, you know. It was very smart. I mean, I can't afford financing a $60,000 car.
No, but none of us can. That's why we're
None of
here.
us can. Talk about it.
So
Okay,
I
no
leased the
shit.
S4,
No shit.
and
I
I
barely
drive-
qualify for that R32, so it's all
I
good.
drive
Right.
a Arrow.
I drive 70 miles a day, so I've got 25,000 miles on the car in 1 year, and the lease is not going to work out.
No,
So that car's going to be purchased.
yeah, long and short of it is Timmy bought an S4 on an extended payment plan, which is fine. That's fine.
Like
so,
a 10-year extended payment plan, but it's fine.
but so
Right.
my question is, and we've talking about horsepower numbers and all that shit, is that if you know you're gonna keep it, does that incentivize you to build it?
Yes.
Okay.
But
I
don't-
forget what. So is the
That's a
S4? That's a
solid butt.
V6 twin turbo, right?
Yes.
it's a V6 single turbo. So
Single
it
turbo,
is
okay.
the
Single
it
turbo,
is
okay.
the base Cayenne and Panamera motor and the Macan S motor. It's the 3-liter hot V with the turbo in the center of it.
So wait, is it in between the banks? Is that how it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
That's
So,
why
okay,
it's so
okay.
great.
Before
He
you talk
just
about
so
that,
happens to have a spare turbo.
Oh, thanks, Johnny. I don't know where'd that come from.
Maybe
Thank-
no name.
thanks,
We
Johnny.
will not name the dealership that any of these gentlemen work for, so don't ask them.
Probably somewhere in Reno.
Probably seems like some Reno thing to do.
or
Yeah.
Walnut Creek.
So basically, I don't want to like build the S4. I want to do like minor stuff. I want to do a downpipe, an intercooler, and an exhaust on it, and put one tune on it. I don't want to do anything past that. Like literally, like 450 is higher than what I would even want. And my fiance recently got an S3.
Right.
Yeah, 450 wheel. Yes. So Lauren got an S3, and I think eventually she's gonna want an A4 or like an S4 in the future. And I kind of want to keep the S3, and when she gets a new car in the future, fucking build the S3.
So
I mean,
what year is the S3?
15. So it's got a Golf R motor, is what Kyle told me.
Okay, all right,
It's not his motor; it's a Golf R motor.
Dude, I mean that Golf R motor is
strong.
stout as
It's
Like
it's not
guys running 500-600 horsepower all day long.
Yeah,
I mean,
look at Kyle's GTI. Kyle's GTI is 400
to the wheel.
Yeah,
450 to the wheel. So what you're, at crank, you're what, 510?
Yeah.
Well, he's got less.
And
you got to remember too. We have a lot more horsepower loss than he does through drivetrain because
that is true.
And STI has like almost a 35% drivetrain loss, right?
Yeah.
So like we're losing a lot just getting to the wheels. So he's
really.
All-wheel drive, baby.
Oh yeah. No, dude, there's 3 LSDs, bro, and that's just more restrictions. So you just parasitic loss all the way through the drivetrain.
Oh, transfer.
So really, my 311 horsepower wheel engine probably makes 400 at the crank, but I'll never get it there.
Yeah.
Right. So when we hit 400, that's why getting 400 wheel horsepower out of an STI is such a thing, because you're losing almost 100 horsepower to get there. Right, so
I mean, dude, you could see it on your access port. Like my car's numbers were 293 horsepower to the wheels, and on my access port, when I do a 0 to 60 pull, it was 385 to the crank.
Yeah.
It's like way big difference.
So, but it's a trade-off, because you got to think about how capable is that drivetrain. Like, I'm still working on getting comfortable with my car, but Mike has the most seat time in an STI maybe than Timmy in here, and you can attest to the fact that like you can just point that bitch in a corner, dude. The fastest I ever took my car.
That's why I miss my WRX.
Right.
Yeah.
The first drive we went on together, and I was following Mike on an on ramp, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I knew what you had.
Yeah, I remember this.
And all that shit, and I was like, I'm just gonna keep up with Mike, and I took that shit so much faster than I would have been comfortable taking it just driving the car for a year with not really any canning experience.
Yeah.
The drivetrain in those cars is ridiculous, dude. Like,
oh, dude,
it will find the grip. If the grip's not there, it will find it and it will keep you centered. And it's just
100%.
It's a dumber version of what Timmy has in his car. It's all mechanical compared to
correct,
right?
All the fancy electronics and all of that
exactly.
stuff.
So, but there's a reason why they've used the same drivetrain in every STI that we've ever gotten in the States, because there's nothing wrong with it, right? It's
look at guys running. They're running 700 horsepower with a stock STI transmission. I mean, like what?
It's just the engine is the weak point. Like that's it. That's
yeah.
Mind you guys, do not do anything with WRX transmissions. 300 pounds of torque and you're fucked. Trust me.
I'm aware.
I know.
I had
okay. That's because you beat the shit out of that thing and you launched it all the time. And if you're a smart WRX hunter, you don't launch it.
It was my first launch over 300 horsepower.
Yeah. It's a glass box, bro.
Yeah, dude,
come on.
Dude, it was
okay. So
first gear WRX for first to second is known for blowing up, so you never launch the shit out of that thing.
The white WRX, that thing had fucking 250 wheel horsepower, stock gearbox, 180,000 miles essentially. Fucking when I sold it, had 200,000 miles, still stock gearbox. We went out and drove. Kid can attest to this. I left him. Right?
Those things are the best.
Yeah.
That lightweight body is so good.
That car was set up. Between what Mike had already done to it and what I had added to it, like that car was set up. It could drive. It didn't have the same power, but it could carry speed through corners that none of you guys could.
Oh, it was
like Alex was talking about earlier, like an Integra. Like those cars have a limited slip, just like that white car, dude. Like it was way under power, but man, that thing was in and out of corners.
It doesn't matter how much power you have if you never have to brake.
True.
Which is why Miatas, and everybody hates on Miatas, dude. But if you have a properly set up Miata in a canyon, you will smoke.
You don't have to brake.
Damn near anything, because it takes you longer to get up to speed, but once you're at speed, you're at speed. You'll
Right.
never not be at speed. And
Right.
roll this back, like I had two 240s. My second 240 was a red S13 with a single slammer and an intake, and I adjusted the timing and whatever. And Chris and I were talking about this last week before. I used to run GMR, which is a mountain road back home in LA. I used to run it every Friday night, and the shit that I would keep up with on that mountain, from not having to brake because S13s are ridiculously balanced. That's just what they are, right? Like they're still to this day one of the most neutral chassis you will ever find. Period. And I had Cusco suspension. All my suspension was done, and I had a shit engine. Had like 165 horsepower with like 185,000 miles on it, right?
It just had a shit ass engine,
Dude, it was
bro. but
okay, so listen, while the Japanese and everything, they got an SR20 with a turbo, we got a truck engine with a
yeah,
single
we got
cam.
shit. Yeah,
Right.
we got shit.
Truck engine.
Right. Yeah, it was
We got
crap.
shit. Let's
But-
be honest.
You know, if you can keep it in fourth gear, it's all right. But no, the amount of shit that you could keep up with on a mountain was crazy. Like I would keep up with built STIs and like Mazda Speed 3s, Mazda Speed 6s, or all this shit because I didn't have to brake. I could just push the motherfucker through the corner over and over. And if it was downhill was over because then the weight of the car was pulling. So I didn't have all the acceleration restrictions. So no, to your point, like the biggest detriment to the V8 chassis of STI is the weight, right? Which they're more comfortable to drive every day. They're wider, they have more space, all that shit. But they're 200 to 300 pounds heavier than like a Hawkeye,
Yep.
right? And with no more power.
I miss that bug eye.
Dude, that whole
Yeah.
because I mean the Hawkeye, the Bug Eye, the Bug Eye, the Hawkeye, and the Blob Eye are essentially the same chassis with different front end,
That's
right?
that's when I had the V7 wheels on it.
Oh, that's dude. This thing was clean.
I love it, dude. I love the STI fog light covers and everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude. I want a set of those for the VA, and like nobody makes them, and it makes my heart sad.
Yeah, that dude that had oh god, what the hell is that exhaust? The Genome exhaust on it. Is it Genome?
Yep, Genome.
Genome exhaust, Geno boost gauge,
Yep.
the all from
DF.
Japan, the Defi boost,
Boost controller.
Definitely still killing it on the gauge front, by the way. Hell
but
years in the
that
game.
that white car, I mean, that had a built bottom end
Mhm.
2-liter. I still kick myself when I put it all back together. I should have done the hybrid motor. What is it? The 2.5
2.5
bottom,
2.5
2.5 with
bottom end with
the
the 20 heads.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was like $500 more, and I was like, broke as hell. College kid, couldn't afford shit. Had to borrow money from my parents. Had to pay that shit back.
So that's the literally like the story of the car guy, right? Is like,
Dude,
do I
always,
eat or
bro.
do I build the car?
Right, like
Top
wear that-
ramen.
I could wear
Yeah.
that underwear
How
for
much?
like an
How
extra
much
2
is
months.
this burger worth to me, bro? Like, you know,
Right.
yeah.
$6 burger or 80
Yeah.
cent top ramen. What do you
Exactly.
want to do?
No,
Like,
exactly.
Top ramen, bro.
Right.
Top ramen for a couple months.
Yeah, but
Top
like, I bought
listen, if 3 months of Top Ramen buys me 100 horsepower, your boy's eating Top Ramen.
right.
Throw a
but
little egg in there and you're good.
the story behind that car is I bought
This guy
that
gets it.
car in LA. Like I had to fly down to LA, buy that car, and drive it back. And then I drove it back, and everything was good. And I had it for like a month, and then I got a check engine light that came on, and it was a misfire fault code.
Yep.
And cleared it, ran it for a while, and I ended up taking it in to try to. Actually, I took it into a Subaru dealership to try to get the timing belt, water pump, and all that stuff done because it was coming time for that. And they found like the heads were cracked.
Oh,
And they
shit.
started looking at the bottom end and we're like, hey, yeah, it's okay. We could put heads on it, but then, you know, it's got 100,000 miles on the bottom end. What do you want to do? And I'm like, and at that time they had a mechanic there that would like build motors for guys, and they were doing that kind of stuff. And they quoted me like, it was like $8,000 to build a motor for it. And I was like,
That's a lot.
yeah, I
even
can't do that right now.
What?
Can't do that right now. I'm gonna look at other options.
That's a
But,
lot
like,
even
the-
right now. That's
But the advisor knew who I was, like, because they knew where I worked and that kind of stuff. They were trying to help me out, cut me deals and all this stuff, but it's still expensive as shit. So I ended up going over to a different independent shop that was known for building Subaru motors, and they built the motor for it. So it had like Wisco pistons, forged internals, and all that stuff in it. I just never got the opportunity to do anything else to it after I built the motor because I got ambitious and bought a truck, and then I didn't want the truck, and so I had to get rid of the truck and the
Typical
Subaru, and
car
Johnny bought
guy
the Subaru.
bullshit. Yeah.
I bought the
Yeah, you know.
Subaru.
All of a sudden,
I
you make a
know,
little bit of
Ghosted.
money, and you're like, "Oh, I
Yeah.
can afford that too," and you go buy that. You're like,
Ever
"Well,
tell you about the time I had a Chevy SS? Yeah, no, I get it. Anyway.
yeah, like,
That's when I
Like-
picked up a Subaru and fucking
Yeah, Johnny got the
replaced all
Subaru.
of the suspension bushings, fucking shift bushings, fucking changed everything out, upgraded the brakes to Carbotex.
what's that car?
Fucking
needed?
had it tuned, dialed it all in. Fucking thing was solid, man.
No,
That
that
thing
was a nice
hand-
ride. I remember seeing that thing in the parking lot at Porsche when you were trying to sell it, and
Dude,
I
miss that car.
So I had a buddy who had he had a white 18 WRX,
Yeah,
had it tuned, lowered, whatever. And here's the thing that and it's really frustrating for like newer like VA chassis STI guys.
Yeah.
The VA WRXs make power a lot cheaper to a point,
Yep.
right? To like a
Yep.
to a
Yeah.
point. So up until that like sub 400 horsepower point, you can get a lot more power a lot cheaper out of an FA than you can out of an EJ. You'll get to 350 wheel for $4,500, right?
If that.
If that, exactly. But the ceiling is really low because like the rods won't handle any more than 380 wheel. Like they'll grenade the engine, right? And then you're into a full rebuild, and then it's like, well, I'm glad I have the EJ because at least, especially if you have a 19 like me and John do, it's like I can hit 500 reliably and not trip, right? As long as I can afford the top end components. I don't even need cams. I don't need any of that shit. I need a big ass turbo, a fuckload of fuel, and TGV deletes, nice intercooler, and I'm making 500 wheel all day, and we're golden.
Yep.
But that easy horsepower comes quick on a new WRX. So he had, his WRX was on paper making more power than my STI, because, and we'll get to my build, and I just realized I'm the last person to introduce myself, whatever. Anyway, he sold his WRX when the fires that last year, when that round of fires came through Cali. As everybody in the nation probably knows, Cali is perpetually on fire. We have a fire season now. So
No, we're always on fire, bro.
We're always on fire.
Yeah.
So he lives in Brentwood. He was getting evacuated, and his block was blocked off by trees on both sides. And he couldn't get out with his WRX, so they ended up pulling his wife's Pilot over, fucking the Pilot up, getting it over these trees, whatever. And the next day he went and traded his WRX in for a Silverado because he never wanted to be in that situation again, right?
Yeah.
So when you were selling your WRX, I was shot him a shot of this, and I was like, bruh. I was like, you were selling for like $9,500 or something like that. You weren't asking a ton of money for it. And I was like, dude, like, here you go. Because, I think everybody that drives an STI, even if you drive a VA, even Timmy, who had the previous chassis, like, the Bug Eye, Hawkeye, blob, like, that's the one you want, dude.
I miss.
I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, I love my car, but if somebody was like, I'll give you even money for a 400 horsepower Hawkeye, I'd be like, take it. You can have it right now. I don't care.
ESX STI is?
If I had the space for
Yes,
it,
I do. With the stripes and the whole 9 yards. Yeah.
ESX?
Yeah.
So when I was working at Subaru, one of the Subaru salespeople actually came up on a customer that was looking to sell one, and it's an 06, 07 STI. They did them from 04 to 07, and it's this company that literally just built.
They did them for the VAs too.
Motors, or 350 horsepower motors, and exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
They did the exact
From that
same thing. They did the exact same
On
thing
this
for the
07
VAs.
STI with that whole setup, and it was like 300 fucking 50 wheel horsepower, had a turbo setup on it, and that thing was super sick, and he came up on it for 12 grand and sold it for 22.
Jesus
Wait.
Christ.
Scroll up.
yep.
Does that say 425 horsepower on it?
Yeah, there's two builds for it. There's a street tune that only gets you like an extra 50 horsepower, and there's another performance.
Wow.
That's a rocket. That's a fucking that's a rocket, dude. That thing.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I miss my Bug Eye.
I didn't know that. I've seen an ESX VA, and I knew that they had about 400 wheel, but I didn't. I never knew that they did it for
those seats though.
They're just.
Those
I
used
mean,
to
they're
be in
just.
the dealership.
I know.
They're just reupholstered SDICs, but it
I
does
know,
look
but
good.
Yeah.
like they look gangster in
They
red.
do look gangster. That's true.
That car was super sick.
No, that's sick as fuck,
Hey,
dude. I'm with that.
Can we take a moment to talk about Homeboy's T-shirt though?
Wait, go back to T-shirt. What's up with the T?
Yeah.
Why is it always
It was-
like the nerdiest looking dudes on the
Dude.
planet, right?
Well,
Which
he's
t-shirt
actually
we
the
got?
guy
Yeah,
that
little
owns
fucking
VSX, and he
911?
now owns a multimedia company where he actually makes movies.
But it's
Oh,
like they
fair
make
enough.
all like
But
you're.
they
It's
built another version
it
of
just
this
like
car.
pushes the
Correct.
stigma of like you're
There's
not
an
allowed to
ESX
be.
BRZ too.
Did they really? Did it have the Vortec on it? No answer for that. First of all, anyway,
I don't know.
a BRZ or an FT86 with a blower on it is one of the best cars on the planet. Don't even fucking at me. Like 300 horsepower out of that car. Bitch tits.
Ooh,
Real
Yeah,
talk.
I'll give you that.
that's cool.
That's so sick.
Yeah, that thing is super sick. Okay. So I'm going to finally introduce myself an hour and 15 minutes in the chat. Because we've been everything derailed. My name is Alex. I have a 19 STI. It is black. I wish it wasn't. I wanted a white one because I've had 4 black cars in a row. It is Grimspeed Stage 2. Puts down about 311 wheel horsepower, 316 wheel torque. It's on IST suspensions and 1 dampers. I'm not flexing on K-dubs like some of the
Other people.
proletariat in the chat in the group. I have a nasty rear end clunk that I'm trying to get rid of right now because it cheap.
Where are the coils? They're coils.
It's the preload. It's 1000% the preload. But anyway, yeah. So 311 wheel horsepower, 360 wheel torque. It's not slow. It ain't quick, but it ain't slow. And it's my second STI. I had a 15. Which got traded in for a 2014 Chevy SS, which I won't even bother to share with the group because it makes my heart hurt every time I think about the fact that I traded in for a Fiesta ST. Don't look at me sideways.
Oh God. Oh.
Listen,
God.
okay, right. No.
I
know,
don't know anymore.
No, we gotta
Oh,
take a
God.
moment
Doug.
to laugh about that.
Doug,
We gotta take
when
a
the
moment to laugh
owner of the
about that.
dealership comes out while you're trading in your car and says, "Are you sure?"
Man,
I don't
man.
have a choice. I'm sorry.
No, for real. Long and short of it was I was commuting 70 miles one way, and a hot, nasty LS3 didn't make a lot of sense in that doing 140 miles round trip. Just the situation.
Economy wasn't the best. I
It
can
wasn't the
understand
best.
that.
If it the only thing that makes me feel better is the fact that it was a 14, so it didn't have adaptive suspension, it didn't have a manual, and it didn't have launch control. So it's not like I turned in a Holy Grail SS. I turned in just an SS, right? So it had a 6L80E. I had springs on it. Chris has seen it. Bitch was clean, but it wasn't like top of the mountain clean. So I'll let it go at that. Long-term goals are, I think with every STI guy, including Mike, 400 wheel would be a nice goal. I am still, I grew up running canyons, took a very long break from really performance driving, so I'm just trying to get acclimated with the chassis. Car needs a driver mod is the long and short of it. Long-term goal is 400 horsepower, nice little wheels. I am not into stancing out my car. I think that there are far too many VA STIs that are ruined with big-ass wings and canards and slammed to the ground,
Yep.
which ruins the entire point. A lot of people don't know this, but John's taken a really interesting stance on his STI. Not going to lower it. He wants it to be closer to what it's. Oh, not even rally car, but just like, hey, I can put in the snow, I can put in the this and that, and it'll take it, right? So you've taken a really cool route with yours in the sense that
Definitely.
you're leaning into the all-wheel drive end of it as far as the terrain handling versus like me and Mike who are more into the like just running through a canyon on the dry. When the weather sucks, we just won't run, right? Like we just won't.
Oh yeah,
run the
no,
road.
I mod mine in the snow.
Right, exactly. No, for sure.
Yeah.
Right. So, and I'm kind of on the same road as Mike, as whereas like it's probably going to end up with some 19 Sierra Kwamis. We won Michelin's.
Yep.
400 horsepower. Do some interior mods, and as Chris knows, I'm really into super clean street style builds, real street cars, not show cars, not stance cars, like dailies with power that you can put through a canyon and still function
over form.
Exactly. They function, but they look good, right? You can have both. As the Instagram will tell you otherwise, but you can have a car that looks good and drives well at the same time. You just can't.
100%.
You can't. Like, you're never going to be able to slam it. You're not going to roll frame. You don't need bags. You can run a nice set of coilovers, have a nice ride, drive it every day, take your kids to school. Yes, mine is ignorantly loud. Whatever.
But like, I feel like that's like a pathway if you own a Subaru. Like, it has to be loud and obnoxious. Like,
it is
not true.
No,
not true. My exhaust isn't loud.
What exhaust do you have on yours, John?
To a point. Costa.
Okay.
Or Corsa.
Yeah. So I have I am running a Grim. So I mean, if you don't know what a stage 2 is, it's a Grim speed intake, electronic boost control solenoid. I have a AAM fuel pump, Grim speed catted downpipe, and then a Remark catback exhaust, which is essentially straight pipe because they don't have any mufflers. They just have a resonator running out the shit, so it's loud. But the positive end of owning an STI is, and I can attest to this because I just heard a straight piped Civic Type R today earlier while we were sitting having lunch, it is the best sounding 4-banger on the planet. Do not fucking at me, bro. Like, it is the only and I'm probably in the minority of the sense that I will throw headers on it at some point, and they will be unequal length, and I don't care because I will lose 20 horsepower to not sound like a Honda, and I don't care. Like, I don't care. Every tuner on the planet will tell you run equal length headers. They're more efficient, yada yada.
Don't care.
I'm not running for 700 horsepower. 400 is fine, and I can do it with an 1 3/4 unequal length header. And it will still sound tits.
I'll be running equal length headers on the Mustang at some point in time.
But it's a Mustang, right? Like,
yeah, but I have
I feel like a Mustang can't sound bad. At least your generation.
No,
like,
listen.
They can't sound bad, but I want mine to sound unique. Mine sounds unique. It sounded unique before because of the tri-Y headers that I modified to fit the GT40P heads, because those heads are different than most of the other Ford heads because they're more towards the hemispherical style.
So you're the only Ford guy here. So like, you're literally educating everybody in the chat, which is tight. So I would love to learn more about this shit.
So okay, the GT40P head is one of Ford's most high-flowing heads from the factory.
Okay.
They are also more towards a Hemi-style cylinder head because the spark plug comes directly into the cylinder versus at an angle.
Okay. So straight from the top.
So the Hemi,
Hello?
not from the top, from directly in from the side.
Okay.
So it's similar to the Hemi style. That's Ford's version of it.
Okay. She's just like,
and
she's got
Everybody likes to know, fiance.
Right. Right.
For now, soon to be Van Allen.
Right.
Yes.
So that's Ford's basically high performance head. I'm gonna have that port and polished. I've already got upgraded valve springs for it, and then drop that on. But yeah, because of the style of head, you have a very limited options as far as exhaust manifolds you could put onto it.
Okay.
So I had tri-Ys on my original 289. And I ended up with an extra set of them, and so I took some of the piping and I cut it down, and I used that to modify the tri-Ys on my engine now to compensate for the angle of the spark plugs.
Okay.
So cylinder 5, I widened the arc of the exhaust tube to clear the spark plug.
Okay. So you end up with a really unique exhaust note, long and short of it.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So, and like again, like, there's only two. I'm a V8 dude that doesn't have a V8, right? You guys are both like V8 dudes. Like, listen, I already told Chris that I would swap him his Marrow for my STI for a week whenever he wants it. Like, you know,
I'm down.
like, whenever he's ready, bro.
You have
I'm down.
trunk space. You can see.
Yeah, it's all great until you're down
Fair
a
enough.
100 wheel, bro, and then you'll miss your Marrow. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly. As soon as he tries to get on that on ramp and pass somebody, and it don't pass nobody, he's a problem.
Well, listen,
Like,
mine's
like
faster
shooting
than
up- come on.
yours. Mine's quicker than yours, so I have less of that problem. But I do feel
That's
it. Not
true.
by much. It ain't by much.
that's true.
So I've been a GM kid my whole life. Like 69 Marrow has been my dream car literally as long as I can remember. But if I have to say one thing about Fords that isn't a dig, in all honesty,
The 9-inch.
the 9-inch is way stronger than a 10 bolt. Like a 10 bolt is a piece of shit, right? So like the 9-inch is the 9-inch is the 9-inch for a reason. There's a ton. How many fucking
Yep.
drag Marrows run 9 inches out there? Like I'll wait. You
All
know
of
what I
them.
mean? Like,
Yeah, right, exactly.
But are
Tim,
the
blink
engine
if you're awake there, buddy.
are the engine
I'm here.
engine Tim's just stoned. Are the engines bigger? Yes. Are they heavier? Yes. Are they less efficient? Absolutely. Do they sound better? Unequivocally.
Yes.
A
Yes.
Yodi, a nice cammed Yodi with a solid exhaust, even
Yeah.
if it's 90 horsepower down on an LS3,
Yep.
right? It does sound better. You can't
Sounds
argue
so
it.
good.
They have a bark. They have a growl. LSs are full-on fucking drag motors. They don't always have to sound good. They're fast as that's Chevy's
Yep.
thing, right? It's like, no, it doesn't sound good. Maybe you can't see out of it. Maybe the interior rattles them apart, but it's fast as fuck.
Yeah.
It goes back.
Right.
Exactly.
That's it.
Exactly.
They perform the best. It doesn't matter if it's in a straight line or around a track or whatever. The Chevy will beat the Ford, but the Ford will do it in more style and sounding better. So it's really
Yep.
just a
And
matter.
so this thing right here
Yeah.
is gonna be chasing down Kid. Is what
I
it's gonna
believe
come
that.
down to.
You're gonna be way lighter than Kid.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I'm not even
2,400
just talking
pounds.
about drivers.
Oh, yeah.
I'm talking about actually.
Now, hey,
My
question,
car is
question.
2,400 pounds.
As
When
it sits.
when you're
Wait,
done
Tim's
with
got a
that
question, Tim's got a question.
Mustang, if I get my Audi tuned to like 450 horsepower, will that thing chase down my Audi?
For sure.
What
The
car?
Mustang.
My Audi. Your Mustang. If I
Oh,
tune
yeah.
Oh,
my
yeah.
Audi,
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay,
You have 1,000 You have 1,000 pounds on me.
yeah, that's
So
true.
that-
That's all I
It
have.
really comes down to driver ability at that point. On
Yeah.
paper, he would have all of the potential of running you down in the world because
Yep.
his power to weight. So if you're making 450 and he's making 450, right? And you're at what's your curb weight? Like 3,800 pounds?
I think it's a little more than that.
It's about $4,000.
Dude,
It's about
like
4
those,
grand.
those,
Okay,
those
so-
Audis are heavy,
So
bro.
you're okay. So you have the same power to weight as my SS did, right? Because I was
Yep.
415 horsepower at 3980 flat, right? So let me put it to you like this: in my SS, right, I could run down any Mopar short of a Hellcat with no problem, purely based on the fact that I was 500 pounds lighter,
Yeah.
which is not even a ton of weight. Like 500, I mean,
Nope.
500 pounds is a lot of weight, but in
That's-
cars,
that's
right?
That's having 2 people in your car.
Right.
exactly.
Yeah.
So-
yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So so here's the thing, depending on mechanical, because John's going on mechanical grip, period. Right. So how big is your
Yep.
tire? How well does it hook? How's your gearing set up? Whatever. Right. How well can
Yep.
you launch it? Versus your incredibly complex all-wheel drive system that's giving you all the legs in the world. If he can launch his car within 4/10 of how well your computer launches your car, he will have you in a quarter.
Yeah.
Yep.
Shit.
Purely
Hands
based
down.
on
Yep.
weight.
Hands
Purely
down.
based on weight, because his engine has to work 1,000 pounds easier than yours does.
Yeah.
Now,
Yep.
when you
And I'm producing more torque.
also
I'm so
true.
excited for
Also
that. That's
true.
gonna be so bad.
No, that's a cool matchup. Like that's a fucking cool
Yeah.
matchup, and I think that's what's fucking really sick about being a car guy in general, right? Is that like
Mhm.
there's so many factors that go into it, right? So you can be
Definitely.
like we've talked in the chat ad nauseum to the merits of an RS3, right? Which is
Yeah.
a $60,000 car that with $1,000 in mods runs 9s on street
Yep.
tires every
All day
single
long.
fucking
All day
time,
long.
over and
Oh,
over
right.
and over, without fail. It'll run a 9.1, 9.2,
Yep.
9.3 over and over, 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 right? That's crazy. That's fucking crazy. Because when you think, and John will tell you, the amount of money that you'd have to pour into that 65 to have it run 9s any day of the week in any atmospheric pressure with any tire pressure and any heat, way more than $61,000.
Oh,
Yep.
Right, you're in the $80,000 range to make sure that thing runs a 9. So that's why
The good news is there is a good news. So 15s are considered a complete drag style tire or a race style tire, so they don't offer standard street tires in a 15-inch rim anymore. So
No
it is
shit.
completely R888s, like it's all dot legal slicks, like it's
So you get some
it's
solid
race
grip.
tires.
Yeah. I mean, you
Yeah.
won't be able to go more than 3,000 miles on it, but yeah.
It's
But I
fine.
mean,
It is what it is, bro. Yeah. But it's just, I mean, that's what I think that is I think that the biggest thing is if you listen to a lot of automotive podcasts, they have their bias, right? Like,
Yeah.
I've listened to the Smoking Tire for years, and over the years, I have, Matt Farah as an individual has come up in the world. He makes more money, and he'll say very openly, he's like, I don't want to drive your fucking built STI anymore when he does his one take, which is why he has Zach Clapman do all the one takes. He's done with it, right? He's now escalated into the position where he's driving Z06s and 911s and and this and that. And it's like, yeah, dude, like there's a lot of people, let's keep it real, there are a lot of people that make the kind of money where they can afford those cars.
Yep.
And I think any one of us talking now, like if any one of us could afford a Carrera T, we'd buy it.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, why not?
Right, because the Carrera T, right, okay, right. It's the cheapest.
Why not?
It's the cheapest 911. It's still the best car you can buy for the money. Period.
Hell yeah.
I don't
Yep.
give a
Driver's
shit.
car.
100%.
Right.
It's a
Yeah,
100%
definitely.
driver's car.
Right. And so at that, but here's the thing: it's like when you get to that level of money, there is no argument. Like, yeah, the 911 is the best car. Everybody knows the 911 is the best car. Whether or not you like Porsches, the 911 is unequivocally the best car. Now, if you get into the 500,000, yeah, okay, maybe you have a 720S, or you have this, or you have that. How many of dudes like us can actually afford that shit? None. Period. That's it. Right?
Yeah.
And there's so much content on the internet that leans towards the dudes. Like everybody wants to see how a 720 performs against a Veyron or a Chiron. Well, I don't have access to either. And like fucking 918 and fucking Chiron and like normal dudes aren't driving that shit. And they never will.
Careful.
No,
Right.
918s are pretty badass.
No. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the 918. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the 918. But at the level of that we operate on, that car might as well not exist.
Yeah.
Right?
It
might as well
it's
be
like $1 million.
It might as well be a mythical character. It might as well be a unicorn. It's as real to me as a unicorn.
Prototype.
Right. No, I saw McLaren Senate in person. I'm like, oh, this is great. I'll never be able to drive this. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, it's like when you see videos online, it's like you see all these reviews like of the Aston Martin Bolton versus like the Porsche 918. It's like this is, and then they come down to the conclusions like, oh yeah, if you want a track car, the Vulcan's a car to buy. I'm like, when the fuck?
Am I gonna be right? And but even
can I come up with that kind of financial? Yeah, right.
There's
But
an
shit.
option.
right,
Yeah.
exactly. But even like 1320 now, and listen, I get that there's a lot of dudes that street race out there, and they generate enough funds through street racing to afford $100,000, $150,000 street race rigs. But these dudes that are doing airstrips in, underground racing stage 2 Huracans.
Yeah, right. Like
we're not there, bro. And there's a ton of people that are, or Calvo 1600 Vipers. I'm never gonna own a 1600.
I'm sorry, fucking daddy didn't leave me a trust fund.
Yeah,
Or I didn't start a weed growing business 7 years before it was cool. You know what I mean?
you're right.
Yeah. Or I didn't win my car off of 8080, but
No.
you know,
Ow.